You know, if there's any wisdom, I'll tell you that over the ages, it's been clearly recognized that the more complexity you introduce into your life, the greater the opportunity for static.
So it is.
So did it disappear itself? Oh, good. Okay. So now we know where it is. What to do about it's another thing, but we have wisdom now. All right. Keep your life simple. There actually are two other pieces of wisdom that I want to share with you this morning. And the first major piece is wisdom regarding Creator. Okay? And the way we say it in unity, every Sunday morning here, there's only one presence and one power as the universe and as my life. God the good omnipotence. Now, the Vedanta, which contains the earliest recorded writings of the earliest recorded Hindu religion, says it this way: the self is everywhere. Whoever sees all beings in the self, and the self in all beings, hates no one. For one who sees oneness everywhere, how can there be delusion or grief? Sounds pretty unity to me. So, now, if we know anything, we know that oneness doesn't mean sameness. It could, but it doesn't require it. There are diverse expressions of our oneness. So, in the Bible, in Romans, you guys have heard this before, but just Paul says, just as each one of us has one body with many members, all those members do not have the same function. So in Christ, we who are many form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. We have different gifts according to the grace given us. Sri Aurobindo, who is an Indian saint from the mid-1800s, said, in the evolution of the spiritual man, there must necessarily be many stages, and in each stage a great variety of individual formations of the being, the consciousness, the life, the temperament, the ideas, and the character. The nature of mind and the necessity of dealing with the life must of itself create an infinite variety according to the stage of development and individuality of the seeker. All saying, guys, that we all come here with our own agenda. And I don't mean this agenda here, but I mean our spiritual agenda. We all come needing and wanting certain pieces to be fulfilled and actualized in our lives, so that we can remember the truth of oneness. There's a fun system. I like little systems and I like little games and stuff like that. But there's a thing called the Michael system. And it's called the Michael system because it was theoretically channeled through Archangel Michael. And what Michael says in the Michael system is there are basically 7 different personality types or approaches. That's the way I would say it in this world. Let me see what they are. I don't know them by heart. There's the warrior, the sage, the priest, the king, the servant, the artisan, and the scholar. Now, each of those different approaches has its own particular personality traits. So you have determination, communication, inspiration, mastery, helping, creation, and information. And on top of all of that, each of those has their own particular goals. Now, to make life even more exciting, there are each of these roles in a variety of ages. And in each age, there are a variety of stages. So there are thousands of permutations. And so if we take it back to simplicity, and we look at these 7, according to Michael, different roles, how many of you think, boy, I ought to be the king? Well, I'm the priest. I'm the holy one, okay? I'm going to be the priest. That's the best way to be. It's not. If that's not your calling, it's not your calling. See, every expression of God is essential. Course in Miracles says it this way: God himself is incomplete without you. See, that doesn't mean you the same as everybody else. That means you as you. Now, Jerry Jampolsky, in his book, Love is Letting Go of Fear, it's a real simple, I really highly recommend it, by the way. It's a real simple primer to A Course in Miracles. But A Course in Miracles aside, it's great, simple read with illustrations. I like pictures. But what he said in there is that everything, every interaction, every thought, everything that happens in the world is either a gift of love or a call for love. Black and white. It's either a gift of love or it's a call for love. Either way, our only appropriate response is love. You see, if it's a call for love, we're called to give love. And if it's a gift of love, we're called to love receiving the love. All of us on this planet, as expressions of God, are actually engaged in a constant process of on-the-job training. You know, the problem is some of the personalities in this gang don't even want the job. Because it's guaranteed we're going to make mistakes. We are going to issue more calls for love than we are going to issue gifts of love. That's the nature of the world and of learning and of growing. And no matter what, the proper response is always love. Ramakrishna said in another place, God is in all men, but all men are not in God. That is why we suffer. God is in all men, but all men are not in God. That's why we suffer. The proper response? Love. It's simple, guys. Love. He said in another place, so I like him this morning, see, God is everywhere, but he is most manifest in man. So serve man as God. That's as good as worshiping God. Now I want you to get this real clearly. He did not say serve man as man. He said serve man as God. Another way that I would say it is serve God in man. Serve the expression of God. Serve the one who acts like their God self. Serve that part of the one that shows up with that God or Christ nature. Now, most everybody's familiar with the term behavior modification. However, I've found that most people have a slightly misunderstood version of behavior modification. The way it actually works is you reward the behavior that you want to strengthen. Easy. And you ignore, I-G-N-O-R-E, in all caps, you ignore the behavior you want to extinguish. Understand that punishing is paying attention, which will strengthen the behavior you're punishing. Reward the behavior you want to strengthen and ignore the behavior that you want to extinguish. That means in our world, our job is to pay attention to all of the God stuff and literally ignore all of the ego stuff. Now, someone asked Wayne Dyer one time a very important question. What if there's no good stuff to reward? And what Wayne said was, catch them doing something right. catch them doing something right. That applies to ourselves as well. See, of course, in Miracles says what you perceive in others, you strengthen in yourself. What you perceive in others, what you pay attention to others, in others, you strengthen in yourself. And I'm going to tell you the corollary is actually as true. And that is what you perceive in yourself, you strengthen in others and the world. Meaning that your own self-image, your own self-love teaches the world how to see itself and how to love and how to show up for you. What you perceive in yourself determines the whole world, at least in your experience. Now, 20-some odd years ago, I wrote a little book called The Tao of Robert. And one of them I wrote was on truth. And it goes this way: the happy heart looks on a happy world. The heavy heart sees sadness. Those in love know love everywhere. The wise one is aware that those who see themselves as whole see truth in him. Those with inner turmoil and conflict see his seeming imperfection. Enlightened ones are so because they are, not because they are recognized. They know the truth about themselves and hold to the truth in others. Now, the second major piece of wisdom that I want to share with you this morning has to do with creation. So we got Creator. Okay, we're playing with that a little bit. But the creation side of this thing. So we have a wonderful unity principle. It's the third unity principle, and it says thoughts create. In fact, it goes on to say we are creators as God. And to me, that doesn't mean like God. There's a difference. Semantics is really tricky. We are creators as God, creating reality through thoughts held in mind. We create our life experiences through our way of thinking. Now the Bible in Proverbs 23 says, for as a man thinks within himself, so is he. Thoughts create what words create. Obviously, they're an expression of our thought. So, in John, in the Bible, there's kind of a shortened version of the creation story. I like it because I like short and simple. The Cliff Notes. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through Him, and without Him was not anything made that was made. In Him, the Word, was light, and the light was in the light of men. Now, however many thousands of years ago, in Hinduism, it says in the earliest books, it's going to sound familiar, in the beginning was the only Lord of the universe. His Word was with Him. This Word was His second. He contemplated. We should do that before we speak, shouldn't we? He contemplated. Then He said, I will deliver this Word so that she will produce and bring into being all of this world. So thoughts and words create. See, the truth is true no matter who says it. The truth is true no matter when it was said. And while there are some absolutes in the spiritual realm, our entire experience here on this planet, in this body, in this life, is totally relative. Buddha said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. Just as treasures are uncovered from the earth, so virtue appears from good deeds, and wisdom appears from a pure and peaceful mind. To walk safely through the maze of human life, one needs the light of wisdom and the guidance of virtue. So, what do we do with all of this stuff that is not God, that is not good, that is not loving? What do we do with all of these calls for love? Well, hopefully Sheila's going to expand on this next week, but the answer for me is forgive. Really, really simple. All of this not God, not good, not love stuff, just forgive. The Jains say, subvert anger by forgiveness. The Quran says, the best deed of a great man is to forgive and forget. The Sikhs, where there is forgiveness, there is God Himself. In Islam it says, if you efface and overlook and forgive, then lo, God is forgiving and merciful. And Betty Lou says, forgiveness is an eraser filled with love. You know what that means to me? That I know I have completely forgiven when I have absolutely no recollection that there ever was anything to forgive in the first place. As long as I remember that I forgave something, I have not forgiven. As long as I remember that I have overcome some hurt or some offense, I have not forgiven. When I have no recollection that there ever was or is anything that needs forgiving, I know I've done my job. See, we say it every Sunday, but we're here to be love in the world. Now, do we always act like it? No. And are people always easy to love? No. But our job, our one and only job, is to forgive, love again. Thank you.